We're back here, and of course, joining us on the bumper breakfast today. When you introduce presidents, you have to play your truth. The national president of the Institute of Town Planners and former Lagos State Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development, Mr. Soyi Ande, joins us on the bumper breakfast table today. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, viewers.
I see you have stopped being COVID compliant. You came on my set. That's good. No, you should.
Good morning, sir. How are you this morning?
Good morning. I'm good.
Good to have you.
Good to have you. Yes, we're talking, like I said earlier, about the urban renewal in Lagos, and we're talking more about the redevelopment of our slums. Our guest made a powerful statement just before we came on. The whole of Lagos is a slum. How do you mean by that?
Well, I think I need to define that.
Yes, define
before
that,
it's
because
more
I really want to take you up on that.
That was a response. That was a response to my statement.
Yeah, but let me open by saying that when you discuss the issue of slums or urban renewal, there are 4 questions to it. The why question, or the what question, what is a slum, the why question, the how, the approach, and then the when. Now, in response to your question before we came on air, you were discussing if, you were asking if I knew if there was a slum in Ikeja or something, and I said the whole of Lagos actually is a slum, and I will tell you why. I don't know if you've gone to Ikoyi recently, and you will see people pushing carts with kegs of water. The moment you lack an infrastructure, you're on the tendency of becoming a slum. Yes, because you are lacking infrastructure. What makes a settlement functional is that it has all the required infrastructure to make it sustainable, to make it livable, to make it beautiful, and to make it convenient. Those 4 components must be in a settlement. So what will you call a slum? A slum is an environment that lacks the basic infrastructure. They lack water, they may lack electricity, they may lack good roads, they may lack drainages. Then you can have derelict infrastructure, derelict buildings in themselves. So those have become blighted areas. So we have those that you call blighted areas. They are areas that are almost irredeemable. So but they are worse than Ikoyi, they are worse than Ikeja. But to see someone push cart of water along the street means that something is wrong. So it creates a picture of a dysfunctional settlement. In fact, to have animals wander on streets, on roads, competing with vehicles,
It shows you that the place connotes that something is wrong, and that place could be called a slum.
Yes.
Now, our slums peculiar, you see, Nigerians and Lagosians particularly have this erroneous belief that certain things are peculiar to us here. You say, oh, if you go to greener pastures, oh, these things are not done in saner climes. We have that mentality. Unfortunately, we're seeing slums outside of this country. Do they actually exist in well-developed economies?
Yes, I've been in Brazil, for example, and I know the slum areas. You see them built so close, and even in mountainous areas, I think they call them favelas or something like that. You have something like that also in Venezuela. So we have them all around. It's rare for countries to show you their ugly side.
Very true.
They always show you the Eco-Atlantic city.
Very true.
They show you the Victoria Island. So it's not peculiar to us. But we can do something about it.
There's hope.
That we can do something about
How
it. And I know
come-
that the Lagos State government is doing something
Because
about
I was going to eat you there. You were the commissioner
Yeah.
for urban development,
Physical
or physical
planning and
planning
urban
and urban
development,
development
yes.
in Lagos State a while ago. What happened with places like Makoko and places like Jola Badia and places like Takwa Bay, Shita Bay? What happened to those places? How come they still had? I remember that during the flood in 2019, we spent a lot of time going to the slums to take videos of how really good, let me not call it bad, things were there.
Just call it the way it is.
You know, when they say something is bad in the parlance of the street, it means it's good. But this one is bad, really bad.
Now, if I may, let me say that upgrading slums also has to do with those who live there themselves. We've come to realize over time that people also have some kind of attachment to where they live. And sometimes they don't want to leave because they are afraid of change. You know, as a consultant, I work with Lagos State, no, I work with the federal government, trying to make an intervention in Ijora Badia. It was the same people who went to, I think it was Mrs. Ojomo or so, who was, she was Minister for Works and Housing. Then, and because she came from Ilaje area, they are also from Ilaje. So they went to Abuja and protested. So a consultant was appointed, and I was part of that team. You know, by the time our plan, our development plan came out, these same people started protesting again that they don't want it again. Because it was obvious that some buildings would go, some would have
And
to
they really
stay,
didn't want
they
to
would
lose
have
their
create
buildings.
So it's not much to the side of government. It also has to do with those who live in those areas.
Now let me ask you this: do you not think that people, they seem not to have trust in government? Because now definitely you want to bring urban planning to them
And renewal and
exactly.
development.
We know what happened at Morocco. Almost everybody that resided at that place had to look for accommodation elsewhere. They were just displaced. Do you not think that at every point, this is always the fear of the people residing, at these places? Because they know that once their structures are pulled down, the government has nothing for them. And you find out that other people come to inhabit where the place that used to be their own habitation.
When it is renewed.
I have a practical experience on that. Let's differentiate Morocco from others. Morocco was done in the military era.
Okay.
And it was a rule of force, a rule of gun. But let me talk about the civilian era. I recollect going to Adeni Diadele with Governor Watunde Fashola then. And as he was trying to introduce this project to them, a young man raised his hand. I said, okay, let him talk. And his first sentence was, Your Excellency, sir, we don't trust government. And at that point, we had to retreat, and the governor said, I'll come back to see them. But when I heard what they said, I pushed my general manager of LASURA, the Lagos State Urban Renewal Authority, to them to go and discuss with them. He came back with the information that they said they prefer to die in those buildings, that the buildings should collapse on them rather than.
And that's why Adeni Diadele is still the way it is today.
I now had to go there. Just hold on. I had to go there, and we had divided the project into phases, and we wanted to knock off 5 blocks that had 30 occupants. Those blocks were uninhabitable at the ground floor anymore. Nobody was living there because they even had stones on ground so that they could go to the upper floors. But what did we do? We showed them a picture of what will happen there eventually.
Okay.
We gave them the options. I told them we will never shock them into any action. So we first offered, of all of them, who are those who want to be resettled in another place? Half of them wanted to be relocated, resettled. So we moved them to the IBA, resettlement housing scheme of the government. Half of them wanted rents. We presumed then that it would take about 3 years to erect those buildings. They were going to be higher floors, more number of plots, of units.
Units, yes.
So half of them opted for that. They were given 3 years rent, I think at the rate of 400,000 per annum then. Then in 2014, you know. And then across board, all of the 30 were given relocation allowance. That is to get vehicles to move. And it was after that, not before that, there was a memorandum of understanding.
Signed.
Signed between them and the government. To know that by the time this is completed, we are moving you back. That's why there was no noise. Nobody had anything, because that's the process of doing it. And that's the process any civilian government should. So Morocco is different. Why people are always afraid is what we call gentrification. You move them and they are unlikely to come back. Truly, I know why they are unlikely to come back, because by the time that thing is done, the value of that place goes up.
Sure.
So even if you give them give them the opportunity of being first
Tenants.
yeah, they may not be able to afford it. But I think government has
But
gone
sorry, sir, let me cut your thought a bit there. Now, you know their level of living. The government, so to speak, when I say you now, knew their level of living, you know, their level of income before bringing that development into their that area. Now, you know that no miracle is going to happen that would elevate them. We're talking about thinking about the masses right now. Now you're bringing, you know, the urban settlement to them. Why now make it, you know, fine, it's more expensive, more beautiful, more whatever and whatever. Now, why make it so, you know, uncomfortable, so expensive for them
That they can afford it.
They cannot afford it. That is literally telling them that, well,
It's not meant for you.
we're not pushing you away, but this thing is not meant for you.
No, I'm not sure that's the right way to look at it.
Okay.
First, you should recall that there's an investment. We didn't bring urban settlement to them. They are already in urban settlement, but they are in the slum area of urban settlement. What happens is that when people come, they look for the vulnerable areas to settle. And you find out
They'll
that
be cheaper.
most times in Lagos State, those areas fall below sea level. So when there is rain, there's flooding.
There's flooding.
To take out that flooding means raising the level of that place. It's an investment. Sometimes some of them spend more than what government does. They don't understand.
Yes.
Because we like self-help. By the time you are doing self-help, when you compare it to coming as a cooperative or asking government to intervene, it becomes cheaper. But we don't dimension these things when we try to analyze. Now, so it costs to upgrade the place. It costs to provide infrastructure. Don't forget, once you have infrastructure, your problem is less. I know how much I was spending on panel beating the floor of my car years ago when I was living where there was mud. Because it will make the car rusty. Every year you have to do that. But when you live in a third environment that is not flooded, for 10 years you may not know that there's something called. So add all those costs, things that you have done. But to relieve that, let's give credit to government. There's also consideration for social housing.
Okay.
So that's the direction that this government particularly is going. So when it's social housing, they make it convenient. You can access mortgage and pay over
A long period of time.
Years. I think as our economy improves, because don't forget that our economy too is bad. As our economy improves, government too will have more elasticity, able to do such things. And then, because the economy has improved, the citizens too will have more access to facilities that can meet them.
Let's talk about quick interventions for those particular slums. I like the fact that you went to Adinijadile. 2020, slight flooding, small rain. I still was back in Nigeria, Denija Delivering, to look at the area and take videos. The attitude that you talked about is still very much there. They don't want you to show whatever it is they're going through. They like their place the way it is. Unfortunately, that area houses a market. That area is one of the quickest routes to link Third Mainland Bridge and out of Lagos. What can the government do?
Well, the government has to do more engagement. And we have to realize that government now is more about governance, not government. There should be a relationship between government and the citizens. The citizens are not customers of government. They are stakeholders in government. And when you are a stakeholder, you are an owner. Now, the citizens have to be made to understand that they are stakeholders. And that's why you see anytime the governor goes to commission a road, they will have to be preaching to the people that you own this road. Because before you know it, they want to lay their pipe for water. They are the same people that will cut across an expensive road. So people have to be made to realize, and I think this is where the civil society groups must really rise up to educate the masses and be like a mouth speak, and then engage with the media. There's a lot that the media has to do in this. The media has to project everyone's views, so that as much as government knows, it will also try to deal with those issues.
There is a particular video I'd like to show you. You're still not really talking about slums a little bit, but urban renewal. One of the BRT bus stops was obstructed in an area, and coincidentally, it obstructs. So this is the Abuleba bus terminal, which everybody is much more aware of. It was constructed and obviously cuts off a particular axis from accessing the road. Now, the people in that axis have a whole lot of issues with going home, going out. Isn't it one of the issues that should have been put into consideration? For example, again, I think I was using that same road on Saturday. If you're going all the way from, say, Ahmadiyya to Yanakaja, there is once you go past Abuleba, you cannot turn to the other side. There is no opening on that road that links you to the other side. So if you live at Lepo or you live in Okoba, as you progress on that road, you have to go all the way 20 minutes down the road to make a U-turn and then come back. That's the only means.
Well, let me start by saying that it's not unusual, because it's a traffic management device. Now we have too many public transport. When I say public transport, it includes the privately owned minibuses and things like that. Because we do not have an efficient public transport system yet, that is either only the big buses,
Okay.
the high capacity buses, it increases the number of vehicles on the road. So you can't make that journey in less than 20 minutes.
It's true.
But we have the same kind of distance in a place like Dubai,
Okay.
that you don't have a place to turn until you have gone like 2-3 kilometers. So it makes traffic move. The only challenge we have here is that because we have too many vehicles that are not complying with rules and regulations. We have too many stops. A taxi can be going in front of you, it just stops in the middle of the road. So it brings a lot of hiccups to our movement. That's the only challenge. If not, there is nothing unusual We're going a long distance before you make
A U-turn.
or you take a clover leaf and turn. It's a traffic management device so that we are not delayed. So what we need to do is improve on our public transport system. Maybe when the BRT system effectively takes over that place, and there's a restriction on minibuses on the main roads, it will become better. It will become better. I am sure that the Ministry of Transportation will be doing a lot more studies. You know, settlements evolve. Settlements are like human beings. As you change your wardrobe, assuming if you put on weight, you have to change your wardrobe. If you trim down, you have to change your wardrobe. So that's how settlements are also. And we must have this culture of reviewing our settlements from time to time so that we can make the right interventions.
And we're still talking about the same settlement. What now happens to those who live in that houses? People who are somewhat cutting off. People who rather cannot access their day-to-day routes simply because, for example, you're going to work. You already know that if I take this route, I'm supposed to take about 20 minutes to work. Give or take traffic, 40 minutes. And then now, because they've cut off my side of the road, because that's one of the things you see most times. They've cut off my side of the road. I cannot access this place. This place blocks me, blocks vehicles from coming in, blocks people. So how then don't you think it is better to create those alternatives first before you even do this blocking that happens?
But let's not forget that some of these things arise from emergencies. You need to solve a problem, and we must see this as a going concern. We will continue to solve problems. I'm sure the relevant ministry is listening now. They will identify it. Nobody puts a road for the purpose of cordoning people. They put on a road so that it can convey people. So I'm sure they will be looking into this so that there can be that interconnectivity.
Okay.
Because without interconnectivity, but it's also going to happen by a lot of studies, and then they will try to resolve the conflict that's there.
Let's quickly listen to some of the residents of that area and some of the issues they have with this project.
The governor of Lagos State, our working, amiable, performing governor. In fairness to the activities of what they are planning to do here, this is a proposed bus station for BRT. Fine, it's a welcome development within our community, which we are so much happy about. It's even going to boost our community relevancy, that we have a modern bus station within our CDA. Be that as it may, but we just felt we should plead passionately with the governor. By the time this project is already put in place, we have some fears that what actually might turn out to be at the detriment of the community. So we want to call his attention to please come to our aid. You can as well see, this is Abule Eba, this is Ojoba Modern Market, the only and the biggest modern market in the Orile Agege. First and foremost, my name is Honorable S. Wajala, the chairman of the Community Development Association. When it's raining season, the whole place is flooded. Now, their proposed station, it will be very difficult for the community and other road users to come into the community. You can see if this place is blocked, if the place is blocked for BRT station, getting into our community will be very, very difficult. Where we are standing here is a proposed exit. It's a proposed exit for the community and other visitors to move out, to go out of the community. But coming into the community again will be very difficult if this project is already built, it's already in completion. It will be very difficult for us. So we are now pleading with the governor. He's our father. He should come to our aid. We needed our entrance. Fine, it's a good project. You can see the market has been reduced. This is the only modern market in Orile Agege. It has been reduced. Coming to the market for other activities will make the market broader if there is no entrance. Now, we had a meeting with Lamata at the local government on the 12th of this month, and we came to site. We told them what our fears are, and they said, okay, probably maybe we should write the governor, and the governor will be so compassionate about us. So we've written a letter to the Excellency, the governor, Mr. Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, you should please come to our aid. Fine is a project we want, but still we are looking at the pain it will give us at the end of the day, getting it to the community.
Yes, we're back. That is one of the residents in that area, one of the CDA chairmen, talking about what happens in that road. Now, the terminal is a good project.
Yes.
You talked about the bus system. Now, but it's going to
The
block
location is the
location
issue.
Is the issue.
I don't know who conducted the studies, but there's always room for a review because obviously the people who reside in that area must gain access in and out of the area. So I'm sure the Commissioner for Transportation will be listening to this. There's need to, and the Commissioner for Fiscal Planning and Urban Development. I'm sure they will be listening to this. There's just need to. It's a continuous process. It's a continuous process. Now that they have gone on air and they have aired their complaints, I'm sure things will be put in motion to ensure that it's resolved. Because the government is about the people.
Exactly.
So
Thank you very much, Mr. Toyin Ayinde, for joining us this morning on the Bumper Breakfast.
My pleasure.
We always like to draw from wealth of knowledge, especially from people who have been there. Now you're back. This is one of the reasons why it is good to have a profession. Putting a round peg in a round hole. He left being a commissioner, went back to his profession, and went about his daily business. Congratulations and thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we'll be back again on the Bumper Breakfast. Like I said earlier, Handcheck Markets, one of our partners on Tuesdays, joins us next. And the conversation simply centers around what you can do to maintain your status, make more money, and of course, be financially free in 2021. We'll be back.